Hello, dreamy people, and welcome to another exciting day in the Writer's Haven. This is your host, Helena, and I'm here with my dear friend, Paulette Foxx-Dawodu, who wrote a phenomenal book entitled Exceptional Service: How to Keep Loyal Customers. It's a book about how you, as an employee or employer, can ensure good branding by providing stellar service. There are some golden nuggets here that you don't want to miss. So without further ado, please welcome Paulette to the Haven.
Thank you.
So good to have you. This is one of my best girlfriends who wrote this excellent, awesome book. What year did you write this?
In 1921.
1921, so during COVID.
Right. So that's 2021. I stand corrected.
Okay.
2021.
2021.
Right
okay.
around that time frame.
And I think I know what inspired it, but tell the audience what inspired you to write this book.
So one of the things that I thought about was the importance of writing something that I actually demonstrated and I was practicing. And as I received new assignments and new projects, I wanted to be consistent with the approach. So one of my colleagues suggested that because I would receive the team, when I say I, really the team, when we would receive raving reviews, I wanted to be sure that we followed the process that worked. So based on the results of the surveys and the feedback, it motivated me to write the book so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Wow, you know what, that's really interesting to hear something that you said near the tail end about the surveys, because many times there are customer service surveys that are sent out and some people totally ignore them. They, myself included, don't have the time. Be sitting here trying to help you figure out what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right.
That's right.
But then there are others, and sometimes this is me too, depending upon the company and how much I have invested in it. And I don't mean monetary investment, I mean just as a consumer of their products or services. And I do want them to give good customer service because I'm using them a lot. And so I'll fill out the survey. But the interesting thing that you just said was that information is collected, which we know, but whatever happens to it? I go into the same store and it's the same stuff over and over again. I'm like, are they not reading my survey? So in what you just said, for the organizations that you have been affiliated with, you were the one that would take in this information and you decided to write a book about the finer points that came out of those kinds of engagements.
That's correct. In fact, I look at feedback as a gift. And whether it's at work or even at home with your significant other, we have to pause to listen, to understand, so that we can put things back on track and move forward or continue to do what we know works well.
Right. And so I didn't intend to jump into this quickly, but since you brought up the key word there, listening, you talk about active listening. And there was one thing that you said that really resonated with me. You said, limit distractions, including biases, so you can listen intently. Unpack that a little bit more for us.
So what's important is that when you're interacting with, whether it's a stakeholder or a customer, even a significant other, you have to really concentrate on what they are saying. What is the real message? And the only way that you can do that effectively is through asking questions, engaging with them, giving them direct eye contact. Sometimes I even say, look at their right eye so that you continue to look, but don't look at a point where it makes them feel uncomfortable. So it's healthy to look away and then come back again. Read what they're saying non-verbally as well. And when you don't understand, ask questions to fully grasp what they're saying.
Right.
And I think it's important for us to do that, not only as we listen to stakeholders, but as we listen to people in the store as well, because that way, if we don't get it, they will let us know. Oftentimes I say it's important to paraphrase, because if I don't fully think I, captured everything that you're saying, I then paraphrase. Oh, what I heard you say is this, so that if you correct me, then I get that information as well, and that's what I target.
Wow.
Plus, it's cost efficient. It's cost effective. It reduces some of that because we don't want to deliver something you didn't ask for. So the only way that I know what you need is through question technique and listening attentively to what it is you're sharing.
Right, and you know what? There's that noise that many of us have in the back of our mind when we're talking to someone and we're not actively listening. And then, as you said, there are biases. You know, if we're asking someone a question, sometimes in our mind we think we already know the answer, so we're not listening.
That's right.
To the answer. How does one overcome that?
Yeah, I would say that when you start to get distracted, maybe you're thinking about cooking or eating lunch or something like that, you might want to write that idea down if you can. And when you write it down or you think about it, allow yourself to think about it quickly, it leaves you. I remember when I was in graduate school and I would get so distracted because I thought about things that would happen the night before that, we had a great time. And the instructor is trying to present material on organizational development or something like that. And I would get distracted because I was thinking about what happened the night before. But when I wrote that down, or I was able to think about it just for a second, then it allowed me to get back in the game and play.
Right.
And give you my full attention.
Well, how does that work, particularly with the younger generation, who it's kind of like a microwave society for them, and there have been actual studies that were done on the attention span of young people. I was going to say present company excluded in the audience, but them too,
Right.
who, that's why Instagram is just such a great vehicle of communication for them. You know, it's quick. And then there's another, I'm trying to remember what the other social media, is it Snapchat? I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't even get me started.
Instagram,
look, I'm over
right.
50, so I don't know about all these little new things that they're doing.
Right.
But in any event, but it's a way that they communicate that is so incredibly quick and to the point. And, for me, I like quick and to the point too.
Correct.
So I'm not listening because I'm waiting for you to get to the point where I need to actually, okay, now I'm going to focus in, because all this other stuff you said is just, it's important to you, but I don't really need to hear all that.
Correct.
So you talked a minute ago about relationships, and I think you meant like not just employee-employer, but in your personal relationships.
Sure.
So how does that resonate for the younger people? And you can also parlay it with having younger people as employees.
Yes. I find that a blended approach could be helpful, so we know that they do have a microwave mentality. They go in and out very quickly. And if it's something they don't want to hear, or it doesn't resonate with them, they're gone someplace else, and we know that. So if I find that you're a strong auditory person, it depends on the way that you listen and learn. And when you are observing the customer, you will understand their way of processing information. You then have to become a little creative to keep them attentive. And sometimes it's through asking questions or redirecting them in a polite way.
Right, of course.
But they need to be redirected so that you can continue to have exchange with them. I even think about some of the students that we dealt with as stakeholders, and they would literally look away or look down at their technology. And so I would be quiet. I would pause and say nothing. And they will look up because it's like, oh, this person isn't saying anything, and then I would re-engage again.
Wow.
So it's
that's
important
a good
that you
technique.
Analyze a person and then meet them where they are.
Right. That is a really, really good and important point, I think, because there are generational differences and the exposures that we had growing up versus what they have, and the distractions in general. So thank you for that. You also encourage listening tours. Talk to us about what a listening tour is and why it's important.
It is so important. Let me explain to you what it is. It's actually a project, an assignment, where your task is to go out to understand a process. So it could be a process, or it could be a scenario where you're trying to get additional information on something that doesn't work effectively. You've concluded that you need help with a process. And so with leaders and others who are in that role, their job is to go out and just observe to understand, listen, to document, so that we could fully understand the process that they experience. And on those listening tours, this is just one example. You're not doing any talking. I know IT, because I have over 20 some years with
Right.
IT, we tend to do a lot of talking. And with the listening tour,
Tech talking.
yeah, tech talking.
On top of
on top
of that.
on top of that. And then we think we know what the user wants, which is bad. So one of the assignments would be to listen. You have to listen to understand and ask questions to fully understand the process before we recommend process improvement. So even when employees start new positions and they're leaders, I always say that you go on a listening tool to understand the things that work for employees, the things that need some attention, call them areas of opportunity, and all you're doing is listening to understand, so that you can help to either say, what you're doing is great, continue to do it, or let's have a conversation about some things we need to be open about doing differently.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me, in your own words, because I read it, but I want our audience to hear it, about your day at Bloomingdale's and what happened and how that played into active listening
Yes.
and the book in general.
I'm glad you mentioned and asked about it. I was wanting to go shopping at Bloomingdale's, and I knew before I got out of the car that I just needed 2 dresses, and quite often I know what I want. I go in very quickly to leave very quickly. And when I got there, this salesperson by the name of Michelle, I cannot remember her last name.
Would you say it on the air? If you didn't realize.
I wouldn't say it on the air.
Go put her off Front Street.
Right. Right. Send her all the customers, because she was exceptional. Okay, so she had asked what was I looking for, and I looked at her as an interruption. I thought, I want to get in here very quickly and get out. Why are you asking me what I want? Oh, I said, okay, I need some dresses for the office, and I need something to come down below the knee. And she said, okay, and she told me what section to go to. And I said, okay. And she didn't say over there, she said, let me walk with you. And I'm thinking to myself, get away from me. You are bothering me. So I went over, and what she decided to do was to take the information that I gave her, and it wasn't much. She observed me a little while. I did not realize that. And she started to go shopping for me. She came over and she said, do you like this, Paulette? And I looked at it and I said, no, that's not my style. And I'm thinking to myself, will she go to lunch? I don't need her running around the store finding things for me. Well, guess what?
Like.
That I'm not gonna like. And she eventually, within less than 5 minutes, she got it. And she started bringing me things that I like. And she ended up, she convinced me to try them on. And I did that, and I ended up buying four to five dresses.
You went in for 2 and you came
I
out
went.
with 4
That's
or 5.
right. A top and some pants. And not only that, when I got to the cash register, because even when other people wanted to talk to her, ask her a quick question, she said, look, I'm waiting on her right now, and I'll be with you in a second. She would give them eye contact, let them know, but came right back to me. I was most definitely a priority. And she said, oh, by the way, we have additional discounts. And she helped me to figure out the additional discounts that I earned. She was amazing. And I ended up loving her forever.
So that was your example of stellar customer service.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
which we've lost a lot in the stores. I almost feel like with the stores that we shop in, whether it's grocery shopping or the mall, that we are interruptions. So to have an experience where I wasn't an interruption, and she looked at
You
me
were a
as
priority and
I
you
was
were
a priority
special.
and I was special. That was amazing.
And in your observation, she didn't put off the other customers. She acknowledged them, which is important. You talk about that, acknowledging
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And she used your name. You
She
talked about
did.
how important that is as well.
That's correct.
But she stayed with you until the mission was complete.
That's right, until completion. And it's customer satisfaction completion. Until I was satisfied, I had my bag. She came from around the counter and gave me my bag and said she hoped to see me again, even gave me her card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until I was
Bloomingdale's
satisfied.
is on point then.
Very, very much so.
They made it to your book.
They made it to my book. Right.
They made it to your
They
book.
made it.
Okay, so you talk about, let's see, which section is this? This is the customer experience, chapter 5. And you talk about things that people should do as they're preparing to meet, and some things they should do prior to the meeting. And so, and what I love about this is, you know, you're very, very, very finite in your descriptions of what it is that people should do, so that there's no room for misunderstanding, because you're very definitive. You tell us to remove devices and don't allow interruptions. Use a well-lit room to have conversations. Why is that important? A well-lit room.
People might get comfortable and doze a little bit. You do have some sleepers who don't pause to stand up and take care of something that they're experiencing, so it should be well lit. And also for writing, some people suffer, might have bad eye vision stuff.
That's fun. You just thought of everything. You said to use a round table so that all members can see one another.
Yeah, and it really increases interaction. I get to see the facial expression, each of us. We get to see the nonverbals, and it helps to keep us engaged. So round tables often work more effectively.
And I love this one. If more than an hour is pending on the agenda over lunch, serve lunch. Don't you hate when you go to these meetings? Well, first of all, it's supposed to be an hour. It's supposed to be from 11 to 12.
Yes.
And then it's now 12:15. It's now 12:30. No end in sight. You're saying to serve lunch.
Yeah, serve lunch.
Why is that important?
Right, I think it's important. It's just one human thing that demonstrates the level of commitment to customer service and the people who are present. Plus, it also gives a forum and an opportunity for information exchange. You could talk a little bit more about the information was disseminated to you, and even start thinking about practical ways to implement some of the things you discussed.
Right, and so these are helpful tips for employers, and whether it's a customer that you're meeting with or employees that you're meeting with, these are some good tips. Provide pen and paper for each member.
That's right.
Okay, make sure they have their supplies and have it ready if they don't. You say that if in a hotel conference room, turn off the music. See, this is what I'm talking about, the details. And I never would have thought of that. But that is important because that's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
That can interrupt active listening.
That's right.
They put on a nice little song from the 60s and, you know, people are like, you know, and they may be looking at you, but they're, you know, they're in that zone.
In that zone.
Especially if it's Aretha Franklin.
That's right.
Okay, so your target audience for the book overall is who?
I would say I was actually thinking about 18 years old and older. But then as I learned more about students at the elementary level, and I've been doing some volunteer work there, some of this information could be helpful if they got it at the foundational level.
Okay.
So not necessarily exclude a group, but that was my initial target.
Okay.
18 and over.
Especially when you're talking about saying please and thank you.
That's right.
So let's talk about why that's important.
I
mean, we kind of know ideologically
right.
that the importance of saying please and thank you. But tell me with regards to exceptional service, why it's so
it's just so important to pause and recognize the efforts of others. You don't want people to feel as if they are being taken advantage of, or that they don't count, or you don't appreciate what they're doing. It's important to get in the habit of thanking and showing your level of appreciation for the experience that you have. Right. And I think it should go both ways.
And one would think that that's kind of common knowledge and basic, but I know that you've experienced a number of times, myself included, where people just don't use those basic gestures of gratitude and appreciation
That's
for each
right.
other.
Yeah.
So, and I love that you spend quite a bit of time talking about that. So, did you tell me how long it took to write it? I know when you wrote it.
Right.
How long did it take?
It took about, I would say, 7 months, between
Wow.
7 to 8 months.
Okay.
I did have someone assisting and facilitating.
Okay.
So it was a passion that I wanted to document. So I would literally spend time on it every single day,
Okay.
trying to meet goals. I actually set goals for each part of it.
Okay, so you're answering my second question, which is what was your process? So did you outline it, or did you just sit down and start writing? Did you know the chapters and then you wrote to the chapters? What was your process?
Yeah, it was an outline that was established, and I didn't necessarily know what chapters at the time, but I knew what topic that needed to be addressed. So I always feel that you start at the vision and the mission level. So if I started there in my thought and thought maybe that would make sense to be chapter 1, it wasn't defined that way initially. So then what I would do for that that section was to, that night maybe, I would just write information about what I mean by vision and mission, core values, talk about the tools, talk about how important it is for leadership to buy into it. And so it was actually a methodology that I used to get to the milestones, and it would be weekly goals that were established. So some information had to be moved around because maybe I thought that it belonged in this section, and I realized that some content of it belonged someplace else. So I was able to make that adjustment, but not initially, just data dumping and getting it out.
Wow, and this is your first book, right?
It was, yes, my
Yeah.
first book.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So any other
Yes.
projects in the horizon?
I have to think about that, because the one thing that I do want to give back, workshops. I
Okay.
talk about that, but now it's important for us to put the information in a practical sense, start to practice, to reinforce, to demonstrate, and to move in that direction, I think would be key. So not only offering workshops, but even presentations about what it means to do customer service. So I started doing some of that virtually, and I want to continue to do that to help.
As a
different
consultant
organization.
for organizations?
Right, as a consultant, correct, yes. I think it's important.
Yeah. Now, you've worked across different types of organizations. You've worked in corporate, you've worked in nonprofit, you work in educational, academia.
Yes.
So any others that I missed?
I think you got it. You said nonprofit. Yes.
So the tips and things that you highlight in this book, would you say it would cross all of those?
Yes, including the union and the non-union environment.
Oh, wow, okay.
It crosses there, as well as education. I was able to palette the concept in both places, and it worked well.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, listen, this is a wonderful, wonderful book. I know it's been successful. I know it's going to continue to be. Tell
you.
people where they can find you socially.
Sure. Which way should I look?
At me.
Okay, thank you. Well, what you will do is contact me directly at pdawodu@gmail.com, and that's PDAWODU@gmail.com.
Do you have a website?
And I do have iExcel. It's Facebook. So
Okay.
if you have a Facebook account, or even if you don't, you can look me up through iExcel, and that's IEXCEL space. That's fine, iExcel, and you can find me there. But pdawodu@gmail.com. I'm always available that
Okay, now
way.
you're going to get a whole bunch of crazy emails, but that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I finally got you here
Yes.
after begging, but that's okay. That's what friends do for each other,
That's
right? Anyway, Dreamcatchers, I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and keep watching because we have so much more to share with you this season. You can stream this show on any of our 9 streaming platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and the #1 network on the continent, the American Legacy Network. For more information on where to tune into a broadcast of our show, you can visit our website at www.writershavenshow.com, or you can check out the credits at the end of this show for more information about how to find us. That's all for now, and until next time, catch fire on purpose.
Are we rolling? Oh. Hello, dreamy people. I am so excited to share some amazing news. For those who follow me socially, you may recall in June, I hinted about some exciting news coming down the pipeline, and I'm so happy to reveal it now to the Writers Haven family of phenomenal writers and avid readers. Are you ready? The Haven is going international in a very big way, and I want to invite you to the party. Phoenix Rising Entertainment has partnered with Virgin Voyages to host a Writers and Readers Escape. We are inviting you to join us on our first annual Writers and Readers Escape, WARE, aboard Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady. It's a 5-night Caribbean excursion from October 6th through October 11th, 2024, which will be a great kickoff for National Book Month. We are hitting ports of call in Miami, Costa Maya, and Bimini, and we are extending an invitation to all of you to join us. There will be literary cafes, master classes, panel discussions, and our first Forward Legacy Award ceremony honoring the work of the phenomenal Miss Terry McMillan, the legendary James Patterson, and the uber amazing Stacey Abrams. Did y'all know she writes thrillers and children's books? You probably do. But in the midst of all that literary bliss, there are so many things to do on the Valiant Lady. It's a beautiful, beautiful cruise ship. And not to mention the fun you'll have at the various ports of call. The theater shows, music events, parties. Let's just say Sir Richard knows how to put on a great time. And we want you to join us. You will find the deets on our website at www.writershavenshow.com. But let me say this. We anticipate this event will book very quickly, so don't wait to sign up. I don't want to hear any of your sad stories about how you waited and then couldn't get in. So check it out, and I hope to see, S-E-A, see your face in the place. That's it for now, and until next time, catch fire on purpose. Going back to my social media.